Hi everyone, Eric Woodcop with Iron Bow, and today we're going to take a look at a product and company called CyberArk. What is CyberArk? CyberArk is essentially a privileged access security solution that can rotate your passwords of AD users, Azure AD users in the cloud, SSH keys, Cisco router passwords, Palo Alto firewalls, and so on. Across the entire enterprise. It doesn't matter what the type of device is, there is a way to reset the passwords to continue to stay in compliance with your ATO. Let's say you have to rotate passwords every 90 days in your enclave, especially like in the federal space. It's really important to maintain that rotation schedule on a per device basis. So as we can see here, we're talking about even going after passwords that are embedded in applications or in Windows, things that are scheduled. If you went to your scheduled tasks in Windows, there's actually an account that's associated with that script, and you have to rotate those also. So CyberArk can run off and discover those and rotate even those passwords. So let's take a look at what the architecture of the CyberArk PAS solution actually looks like. And don't worry, PAM and PAS are sort of interchangeable. But if we look down the bottom here, bottom left, you'll see the Vault server, okay? All that is a Windows server running the Vault software. It's not joined to the domain. It's very critical. They call that a black rock. They want it to be separate from the domain. And the Windows firewall must be running at all times or the Vault service will shut down. So it's a hardened machine that is just sitting out there, and you'll see 1858. See that? That's what it listens on, okay? And the other components will check in with the Vault that contains safes that you manually configure, and you group them. You'll have a Palo Alto safe, you'll have an Active Directory safe, and so on. Then you have the component server. We're going to skip over PSM. We're going to go right to the component server, and we have what's called a PVWA. See the middle one? That's essentially an IIS website that your users, your administrators, your operators will log into to connect to the remote devices that are under management. Okay. Typically, you'll have a two-factor authentication front door so that all your operators have to log into the PVWA with some kind of multi-factor. But once they're in, they don't have to worry about passwords anymore. And we're going to demo all this. Then you have a password manager. That's a CPM, okay? Your CyberArk password manager. That functionality, that executable is in charge of rotating all the passwords. It does it on different intervals for different device platforms and so on. Now we're going to go over to PSM. We're going to go to the left. All that is a Windows proxy server. It's a central point where all sockets will go through it and then proxy off to the actual device. It also allows me to record those sessions, whether it be GUI, command line, doesn't matter. They're all recorded and stored in a safe. For auditing's sake. Okay, that's a Windows server, and it is using what's called RDS, which is a subscription, a Microsoft subscription to do brokering of various RDP sessions, and that's called RDS. And then on the right, we just have backups, and then you can see the kind of flows. We have the end users up here that are connecting to the PVWA. That's why it says PVWA access. They'll just web scrape over to the IIS and then click on connect and go and hit one of these target devices up in the top right hand corner, whether it's Windows AD, Cisco router, Palo Alto firewall, doesn't matter. So here we are in the PVWA, right? It's called Component 01 because I installed the CPM and the PVWA all on one box, which is not uncommon. You don't really need a dedicated box. This is just a small lab actually. So it's on an Intel NUC, and I have about 10 different Windows machines in my environment. Anyway, so this is PVWA. We're going to log in with my LDAP account that I've already mapped. And when we first get in here, we're going to go take a look at the system health and look at all the different components, because we've talked about this already. We've talked about the web portal, the PVWA. We've talked about PSM, right? That's your proxy that runs on Windows. We did not talk about PSM for SSH yet, but we will. CPM is the service that's registered with the solution, and it is healthy, and it's managing 9 accounts. And then there's something called PTA, which is looking at doing threat analytics for abnormal behavior around account activities, which is outside of the scope of today. But we're going to go take a look at our accounts. Let's see what we can do here. Okay, so you'll see I have a few Windows accounts here, right? And they're all in something called, Ironbow Technology Corporate Safe, okay? So if we click on these, we can see that it's been reconciled by password manager user, which is used by CPM. So CPM has reconciled this account. What does that mean? Reconcile is to basically pull in the active live password from AD and make sure that I have the exact same copy in my safe. So now we're synced up, and I need to reconcile that. It's different than verify or change, right? Those are two other verbs that we'll leverage. And those are pretty self-explanatory, I think. What you want to do is you'll associate a reconcile account with server dude. So the reconcile account is actually associated. You have to go here now. And in case it gets out of sync, I will use this reconcile account. You can't scroll over, but this is the reconcile account. Okay, and I had to go and I hit associate, and reconcile account is like a super root kind of account, right? That can rotate anyone's passwords. Anyway, I can manually trigger a change whenever I want. Okay, and let's pretend like I'm an operator and I need to go work on a particular server, and I need to use this account called server dude. All I do is come over here. I'll have a few different options depending on my configuration, but in this case I'm just going to go ahead and click RDP. I'm going to give a reason, pretty please, I don't know. And this is another type of proxy that we didn't get into yet, and we're going to say no because I'm going to use the PSM that we talked about. That's your Windows-based proxy, and I want to connect to a particular server. Here, I hit connect. I pull down a .rdp file. I'm running Windows. It knows how to honor an RDP file, and off I go. It's saying the revocation list couldn't be verified. Okay, we'll say yes. My session's being recorded, and here I am, and we'll go in here and just record something. Okay, and then we'll disconnect our session because whatever we are working on, we are now done. Okay, so you'll notice I never had to type in a password. Once I got into the PVWA and I have the appropriate access, I can click on these accounts and look at or connect to them without using the password itself. So what if I want to just show the password? What if I want to, run over and go down to the data center? I need the password. I need it quickly, and I want to see the password. Well, there it is. So I can see it if I want to. Again, I can control the access and not allow people to see it or not. But that's what that looks like. And then we can go look at our privilege, our recordings of what we just did. Let's go ahead and just watch that recording. Here's me hopping in here, opening Notepad. This is the kind of stuff auditors love. And then I type hi there. Eventually. Yep. Okay, we just demoed what it would look like to connect via RDP to a Windows machine. Now we'll take a look at what it looks like to SSH to a Linux device of some kind. So here, this is a Linux account that's been set up. Okay, if I want to connect to the remote system on 2.190, I can go here. I have two options. I'm going to SSH. I'm going to say need to patch it. I don't know. And I'm going to say no to this, and I'm going to make sure that I'm using the Windows-based PSM. RDP file comes down. I'm on Windows, it knows how to handle an RDP file. I say yes. I click on this. Is this recorded? I could always go back and see if this is recorded. But now you can tell that it knows how to, the RDP knows how to bring up a PuTTY session, which is just awesome. So that's what that flow looks like. Now we're going to do a different flavor SSH connection where we're going to use the HTML5 gateway, because let's say my end user is on a Mac and they don't have any kind of RDP exe on their file system. So there's another flavor of that, and I'm going to show that to you now. Okay, so now we're going to SSH into the same machine, but we're going to use a different proxy gateway. We're going to use an HTML5 gateway. So the flow is a little bit different, so I'm going to hit connect, and I'm going to give a reason, and then I'm going to say yes here. This is telling the PVWA to use the HTML5 gateway, because let's say I'm on a MacBook and I don't have the I can't honor a .rdp file, let's say, okay? So I hit connect. It's bringing me over to a container-based solution. So CyberArk builds a container and you put it on any kind of CentOS, Red Hat, and it's using Guacamole. And you can see now that I'm in my browser and I'm able to connect to various systems right in my browser, which is kind of nice. Okay, now we're going to look at how CyberArk will integrate with a lot of third-party devices. In this demo, we're going to take a look at how you would integrate CyberArk with a Palo Alto firewall in order to rotate the various accounts built inside the firewall itself. CyberArk has a marketplace where free for download, you can pull down sort of an interactive, if you've been around a while and you knew Expect or TickleTK, it's just an interactive prompt-based login to do various things, and they call it TPC. So CyberArk has a library called TPC. It's a terminal program, and then you just layer on top various INI files, and you can go off and connect to anything that is, text-based interaction. Okay. Of course, it also supports web forms. If you had to go in through a web vector and change, that's supported too. In this case, we're going to SSH into a Palo Alto firewall. We're going to change the password on a user, and then we're going to save the config. Okay. Okay. To access CyberArk's marketplace, there's a link right within PVWA here. If you come over to administration, platform management, these are my various platforms. You'll see under network devices, I already have a Palo Alto here. Okay. But if you want to go to the marketplace and see what's out there, you can browse directly to it from your Google. And I just came over here. I said Palo, came right up. And then went here. You download the zip, then you import it manually into the PVWA. I did have to make one modification. I found one small issue where you had to change. So it SSHs in. I'm going to walk you through exactly what that script does, actually, because it's pretty interesting. Here's what it's doing, okay? It's doing a set management config users for the username in question, and then it saves the config. And what was happening on my 850 at home here is that it was taking a long time to save. And you'll see the commit. Where is it's here, commit partial admin, which was very smart. They did a commit partial, thumbs up to the developer that came up with that. But it still took a long time. It took 2 to 3 minutes, and I was having timeout issues. So I had to do a little bit of CPM debugging and find out why it wasn't finishing. But I just changed that value, and it worked without touching this. Okay. So let's do a demo of that, shall we? We'll come over here. Let's go rotate one of our Palo Alto accounts. And so admin is my root level of my Palo Alto. Sec admin is just a second super user that I made. And we're going to come over here and let's go here. Oh, no, sorry. We're going to go into that account, and it's been reconciled by CPM 44 days ago. I think I'll force a change. Let's do that. Okay. By default, this could take up to 5 minutes. You can change these intervals, but I'm going to hit pause because this part's not the most exciting, and then we're going to come back. And there you have it. You can see the password has now been changed and we're in compliance. Please feel free to reach out to your Ironbow account team for any privilege access needs. We're here to help. Thank you.